Tonight's last speaker is no one else than the president of Green Technology Center Korea, Byung-ki Cheong. Prior to joining Green Technology Center, Byung-ki Cheong served as a director of Korea Institute of Science and Technology. His research outcomes in the area of high-speed semiconductors have been transferred to major Korean manufacturers such as Samsung Electronics and SK Hynix. Today, Byung-ki Cheong is the president of Green Technology Center, a government-affiliated research institute under the Ministry of Science and ICT that fosters national green technology research and development policies and international cooperation on climate change. Byung-ki Cheong will talk for us for 5 minutes on the topic Korean public sector perspectives and plans on green transition. It's a great privilege to be able to give the word now to you, Mr. Byung-ki Cheong.
Thank you very much for that very kind introduction. And I would also like to extend my thanks for being invited at such an important event. Thank you for giving the opportunity to speak about the green transition from the perspective of the Korean public sector. With that, I would like to begin my presentation. Carbon neutrality, that term has been selected as one part of a national agenda, and long-term plans have been set up since October 2020, when President Moon Jae-in declared our goal for carbon neutrality by 2050. Actually, at the end of the year, we submitted to UNFCCC our renewed national determined contributions. And before that, there was, of course, a consultation group to come up with those NDCs. And in July of 2020, before that, the Korean New Deal was declared, which has the two pillars of Green New Deal, Total New Deal. So that formed the foundation for our carbon neutrality strategy. Since then, the pan-government carbon neutrality initiative has been announced. And to go over a few of the details, from our viewpoint, attaining carbon neutrality by 2050 is actually going to be quite of a challenge for the following reasons. Our greenhouse gas emissions, to look at the trends from Korea, we have seen a sustained increase. And we amounted to more than 709 million tons as of 2017. And there has been sort of a stabling of the emissions since then. However, we haven't seen reduction yet. And we will have to work towards reductions for the upcoming 30 years. And we're running on a much shorter time frame compared to European countries and Nordic countries, which have started to reduce their greenhouse gases decades ago. And second of all, Korean industry structure is very much focused on manufacturing and industry, very energy intensive and very carbon intensive. So it's going to be very difficult to reduce our use of fossil fuels. And also to look at our energy mix, coal power generation takes about 40.4% of our energy mix. And if we add liquefied natural gas, About 2/3 of the energy mix comes from fossil fuels. So looking at these three factors, setting the goal for reaching carbon neutrality by 2050 had been very controversial within the government itself. And Korea's GDP, 70% of it relies on trade, including export and import. However, if we don't adapt to the changes in the international community, we will not be able to survive. So it's not a matter of choice, it's a matter of survival. Or are my 5 minutes already over? Yes. But to look at the opportunities, to move on to the opportunities, perhaps I should cover the rest of my presentation in our discussion later on. But anyway, to just briefly touch upon the opportunities, the low carbon technologies such as batteries or hydrogen fuel cells or ICT technologies, we already have attained such technology. And as is described on the presentation slide, we already have world-class key technology in our hands. So this is a very ambitious and a challenging goal that we have set for ourselves. However, we have the history of achieving the miracle on the Han River since the Korean World War. But we were able to overcome the financial crisis bailout in the financial crisis in the late 1990s and also the global financial crisis later on. So we have confidence that we'll be able to surmount this challenge. How should I proceed? Should I go on with my presentation?
Thank you very much. I think we have to continue.